Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Myself Ashwin Nayak. From today, going to start English subject for ninth standard. So in this class, we start about the second semester part. At the first lesson, second semester part, the lesson name is the justice above self. So the justice above self in the story is written by the Munish Premchand. Look at that picture. He was the Munish Premchand. So Munish Premchand was a famous Indian author and poet who ushered in the modern Hindi and Urdu literature with his writings. He is also the believer in the Hindi and then Urdu literary works in this almost all these writings. The writer is mainly recognized for this the creation that always consider the social message and then raised a voice against that social evils prevailing the Indian society. The Munish Premchand he is mainly recognized to the creation that always connected the social message and raised the voice against the social evils prevailing in Indian society. Let us start the lesson the justice above self. So it means ನ್ಯಾಯ ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕಿಂತಲೂ ಮಿಗಿಲಾದದ್ದು ಅನ್ನೋ ಅರ್ಥವನ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ತದೆ. ದಿ ಸ್ಟೋರಿ ಇಸ್ ರಿಟನ್ ಬೈ ಮುನ್ಷಿ ಪ್ರೇಮ್ಚಂದ್. Okay, look at that textbook. Juman Kaishek and Algu Chaudhary were a good friends. So the strong were their bond of friendship that when either of them went away from the village, the other looked after his family. Both were greatly respected in the village. Okay, that stanza first. So in this story, there were the two friends have there. The Juman Shaikh and another one is Algu Chaudhary. So the both were very good friends. So the strong of their bond of friendship that when either went away from the village. So how there is friendship was very strong and in bond. So bond means the strong connection of his friendship. So when either away from went away from the village, so in his family, so how there were a bond of friendship means ಸೊ ಇವ್ರ ಮನೇಲಿ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರ ಒಬ್ರು ಎಲ್ಲಾರ ಹೊರಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿನ ಈತ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬ ಕೇರ್ಫುಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊತಾ ಇದ್ದ. ಸೊ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಶಿಪ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಜುಮಾನ್ ಶಾಯ್ಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಅಲ್ಗು ಚೌಧರಿ. When either them went away from the village, the other looked after his family. The both were greatly respected in the village. ಸೊ ಇಬ್ರು ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಶಿಪ್ಪು ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಆಗಿರೋದನ್ನು ನೋಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಊರ ಜನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇವರ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಶಿಪ್ಗೆ ತುಂಬ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಆ ವಿಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ. Juman had an old aunt who had some property. This she transferred to him on the understanding that she would stay with him and he could look after her. The arrangement worked well for a couple of years, but thereafter a situation changed. Juman and his family were treated of old relatives. The Juman became a different of her as his wife, who who graduated even the little food for the old lady needed for survival. She swallowed this insult along with her food for a few months, but patience has its limits. So one day she spoke unto Juman, my son, it is now obvious that I am not wanted in your house, so kindly give me a monthly allowance so that I can set up a separate kitchen. Okay, look carefully in the second stanza. So Juman had an old aunt who had some property. So in this Juman family, he had a old aunt who had some property. ಸೊ ಜುಮನ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಒಬ್ಳು ಆಂಟ್ ಇದ್ಲು. ಅವಳಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತುಂಬ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಇತ್ತು, ಬಟ್ ಶಿ ಈಸ್ ಅಲೋನ್ಲಿ. She transferred to him on understanding that she would stay with him and would look after her. So she had some property. She transferred to him on understanding that she would stay with him and would look after her. ಸೊ ಜುಮನ್ ಮತ್ತು ಆಂಟ್ ನಡುವೆ ಒಂದು ವೆಲ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ನಡುವೆ ತನ್ನ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿನೆಲ್ಲ ನಿನಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ, ನಾನು ಇರುವವರೆಗೂ ನೀನೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ನನ್ನನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಜುಮನ್ ಆಂಟು ಜುಮನ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ. ದ ಅರೇಂಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್ಡ್ ವೆಲ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎ ಕಪಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಯರ್. ಸೊ ಈ ಅಗ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಏನಾಯಿತು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಸಮ್ ಇಯರ್ಸ್ವರೆಗೂ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ತುಂಬ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಜುಮನ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದ, ಈಸ್ ಆಂಟನ್ನು ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ. ಬಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಎ ಸಿಚುಯೇಷನ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ಡ್. Some years ago, the situation were changed. The how the Juman and his wives treated to the Juman aunt. So Juman and his family were tired for these old relatives. The Juman became indifferent to her as his wives. So when his Juman house, his relatives come to his family, he treated was unwillingly. So Juman became that indifferent to her as his wife, who grudged even the little food for that old lady needed for survival. But day by day, the Juman's wife treated very badly with that condition for that aunt. Even a grudged even the little food that the old lady needed for survival. So that old aunt, she is eating that some few foods, but that few food to eaten for very indifferent to given for this Juman's wife. She swallowed this insult along with her food for a few months, and then old aunt she swallowed. So swallowed means ಆ ಫುಡ್ಡನ್ನು ಕೊಡಲಿಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ಲು ಅಂದರೆ ಜುಮನ್ಸ್ ವೈಫ್ ಶಿ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ಸಲ್ಟೆಡ್. ಸೊ ಅಲಾಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ಅವರ್ ಫುಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎ ಫ್ಯೂ ಮಂತ್ಸ್ ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ಇನ್ಸಲ್ಟ್ಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ಲು ಅಂದರೆ ಆ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಆಂಟು ತಡ್ಕೊತಾ ಇದ್ಲು. ಇರಲಿ ಬಿಡು, ಜುಮ ನಮ್ಮೋನಲ್ಲ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ. ಬಟ್ ದಟ್ ಪೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ದಟ್ ದ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಕ್ರಾಸ್, ಶಿ ಈಸ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ ದಟ್ ಜುಮನ್. So one day she spoken to Juman, "My son, it is now obvious that I am not wanted in your house." So one day that old aunt she suffered to the ill treated of the Juman's families and his wife. She spoken about the Juman, "My son, it is now obvious that I am not wanted in your house." That old aunt says to that Juman, "I am not wanted in your house. So kindly give me a monthly allowance so that I can set up a separate kitchen." So kind, opposite word of cruel. Kindly give me a monthly allowance. So allowance means an amount of money given regularly. So ಮಾಸಿಕವಾಗಿ ಹಣವನ್ನು ತಿಂಗಳ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ನೀನು ನನಗೆ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಅದನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡು ನಾನೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಸೆಟಪ್ ಎ ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಕಿಚನ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ನಾನು ಸಪ್ರೇಟಾಗಿ ಅಡುಗೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ತಿಂತೀನಿ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ದಟ್ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಆಂಟ್ ಗಿವನ್ ಟು ದಟ್ ಮನಿ ಫಾರ್ ಟು ಮಂತ್ಲಿ ಅಲೋಯನ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಜುಮನ್. ಸೊ ಕೈಂಡ್ಲಿ ಗಿವ್ ಮಿ ಎ ಮಂತ್ಲಿ ಅಲೋಯನ್ಸ್ ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸೆಟಪ್ ಎ ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಕಿಚನ್ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ದಟ್ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಆಂಟ್ gives to that Juman. That old aunt says to that Juman. So what about that Juman says about his aunt? Look at that line. So my wife knows best how to run the house. Be patient, Juman shamelessly. This made his aunt angry and she decided to take her case to that village panchayat. So at that time, the Juman says to his aunt, so my wife know the best how to run this house. Be patient, said the Juman shamelessly. So when the Juman says to his thought, he is very shamelessly to the thoughts. My wife's know to how to best run house. So this made his aunt angry and she decided to take her case to that village panchayat. So when that Juman he says to that, my wife knows the best how to run the house, that patience will be that crossed for this aunt. So that aunt angry and she decided to take her case to the village panchayat. For example, the ask for this one word answer questions. So why did aunt angry and she take the case for this village panchayat? For example, when the Juman, the answer is so when the Juman knows the best how to run the house for his family to his wife, that old aunt angry and then she decided to take her case for that village panchayat. Look at that first stanza. The old lady went about meeting people explaining her case. Some sympathized with her, the other laughed at her, a few other advised her to make it up with her nephew and his wife. At last she came to Algu Chaudhary and spoke to him. You know, Chachi, the Juman is my best friend. So how can I go against him? Algu said, but is it right, my son, to keep mum and not say what you consider just and fair? Pleaded the old lady. Some to the panchayat and speak the truth. She said Algu did not reply, but but her words kept ringing in his ears. And in fourth stanza, it says about that the old lady went about meeting the people explaining her case. So when that old aunt she is angry about her Juman, she is decided to take her case for this village panchayat. That panchayat is held under the banyan tree, and then some peoples are in their in panchayat. The head of this panchayat is also be here. At the time, the old lady went about the meeting people explaining her case. So at that panchayat, that old lady, she is explaining her the case for that panchayat. So when that people he can hear that old aunt's problem, some says about that suggestions to that old aunt. So what was that suggestion? Some people sympathized with her. So sympathized means ಕರುಣೆಯನ್ನು ತೋರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಪಾಪ ಅನ್ನೋದು. So much to give unto that mercy in his old aunt. Some people sympathized with her and other laughed at her. Some people when looked her old aunt, some people laughed her. A few other advised her make it up with her nephew and his wife, and others people to give the suggestions to that advice to her to make with her nephew and his wife. ಸೊ ಜುಮನ್ ವೈಫ್ ಜೊತೆ ಹೇಗಾರೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅನುಸರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಬಾರ್ದ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಅಡ್ವೈಸನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ 2 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಕ್ವಶನನ್ನು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. How did the people react about when old aunt explained her case? Okay, what was its answer? Okay, look at the second line of this fourth stanza. Some sympathized with her, the other laughed at her, and a few others advised her to make it up with her nephew and his wife. At last, she came to Algut Chaudhary and spoke to him. So at that time, so when that panchayat people he react about the old aunt case, and then that old aunt she came to that Algu Chaudhary and spoke to him. ಆ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಆಂಟ್ ಇವಾಗ ಅಲ್ಗು ಚೌಧರಿ ದ ಜುಮನ್ನ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಆದಂಥ ಅಲ್ಗು ಚೌಧರಿ ಹತ್ರ ಬರ್ತಾನೆ. You know, Chachi, the Juman is my best friend. So how can I go against him? So at that panchayat that she had nominated for this head panchayat of that village, she is coming to that Algu Chaudhary. So when that old aunt she came to that Algu Chaudhary, the Algu Chaudhary says that so how can I go against him? So why this line says to that Algu Chaudhary? Because the both were a good friend and bond of this friendship in his relationship. So Algu said, but is it right, my son, to keep mum and not say what you consider just and fair? Pleased the old lady. So at that time, that old lady says to that Algu, what is right, my son, to keep mum. So mum means the quiet or silence ಅನ್ನೋ meaning ಅನ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. What you consider just and fair. The pleased the old lady. ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಿನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ. Come to the panchayat and speak them the truth, she said. Algu did not reply, but her words kept ringing in her ears. So when that old aunt says to the Algu Chaudhary, sorry, what did the old aunt says to the Algu Chaudhary? So come to the panchayat and speak them to the truth. But Algu had now that. So how did the Juman family to treat it for this old aunt? But that Algu was not says about against the judgment of this Juman because their friendship was very strong and bond. There were the both were very closest friend. That aunt says that come to the panchayat and then speak to the truth. She said. The Algu, so at that aunt's thoughts, the Algu was not replied. He did not reply, but heard the words that kept ringing in his ears. So what did the aunt says to that Algu? That those are all thoughts words he cans ringing in his ears. Okay, this is the part first story of this justice above self. So overally, the old aunt understanding that Jumans to transfer his property to look for a long time in his lives. But Juman, he is not after a few couple of year, some years ago, the Juman's family is not treated very well with his aunt. So she is go to Panchayat and take her a monthly allowance for set up for a separate kitchen. So when Juman not given to that monthly allowance, that aunt decided to take case for a panchayat village. So at that panchayat, how did the people were reacted them? Some sympathized with her, some other laughed at her, and others the nephew with his wives to advise her the old aunt. So this is the story of this the part first. in my next class. So what about that panchayat given the judgment of that Juman and then old aunt another next class ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. Thank you for watching these videos.